We really might have just witnessed one of the most insane victories on the PGA Tour all season, and yet it feels like nobody is talking about it. So in case you missed it, Michael Brennan won the Bank of Utah Championship on the PGA Tour on Sunday, but what's crazy is he's not even a PGA Tour member. He was a sponsor exemption into the tournament, and not only is he not a PGA Tour member, he's barely a Korn Ferry Tour member. This season, he played on the PGA Tour Americas, which would be considered like one step below the Korn Ferry Tour, and with the exception of Scottie Scheffler, he has to be on one of the craziest streaks of golf I've seen in recent memory. He won 3 times in 4 events out there, earning himself a Korn Ferry Tour card for next year. And in his last 23 rounds, because this tweet is from Saturday, not Sunday, he is a combined 127 under par. 2 61s, a 62, a couple 63s. That shit looks like me through 15 holes. And if that isn't crazy enough for you, he wasn't even supposed to play the PGA Tour event this week. He was supposed to do an event for one of his sponsors in Canada. Instead, he plays the tournament, ends up winning. But of course, you're watching Tej, so let's go through what has been in his bag during this crazy streak of golf. First off, we got to acknowledge the fact that he had the best single tournament strokes gained off the tee performance of any player in 2025, which is just wild to think about. And he did it using a Titleist GT3 9 degrees set on B2, which is 3/4 of a degree upright in standard loft, with a Project X Hazardous RDX Smoke Blue 70TX. 3-wood is probably one of the most interesting of the year. This is the Titleist GT1 Tour. Now, before this was called the Tour, like when it was more of a Tour-only head, it just was stamped 14.5 loft. D1 is -3/4 of a degree aloft in standard lie, with the Gen 5 Project X Hazardous Yellow 80TX. 3-iron is also pretty nifty and something you do not see very often. This is not a utility-specific iron. It is just a Titleist T150, the 2025 version, with a Project X Hazardous Gen 4 Hybrid 105TX. 4 and 5 irons are the new Titleist T100s with Project X 6.5s, and then 6 through 9 irons are the Titleist 620 CBs, again with the 6.5s. Now, considering he just won, this is the psycho in me, but thinking about the fact he drove the piss out of it with super mid-soft shafts in his driver and 3-wood, and then he goes to more butt-soft, stiff mid, stiff tip shafts in his irons, I wonder what would happen if he tried something like a Modus 120 or a Project X LZ in his irons, both mid-soft shafts. Would it help him or hurt him? I'd be curious to know. Wedges are Vokey SM10s, 4610F, 5012F, 5410S at 55, and then the triple cut sole continues to reign supreme, a 60K Star, 6.5 in his 46, and then dynamic gold S400s in the other 3. The wildest part of his whole bag, though, might just be the alignment aid on his Scotty Cameron Phantom T 7.2. I do not know if I love that or absolutely hate it. Dude, for him to win this thing, totally bypass the Korn Ferry Tour, now has a 2-year exemption on the PGA Tour, has to be one of the craziest stories of the entire year. Only 23 years old, so obviously has a very bright future ahead. I'm also 23, making TikToks, so maybe I need to get my shit together.